Okay, so this is reading 837 for CP. Now you've asked me a couple of questions, CP, and they were around your desire for a home, you know, your own home, and about writing. I've got your email in front of me here as well, and what it is that you should write and why there is a roadblock to that, and also that currently you're working but it just feels like that you're not contributing anything, and there are a couple of other bits and pieces in there as well, so we'll pull those up as we go through. I'll spend the majority of the time with these Ogham views here, but we'll start here and work our way around. Now, we start off with this Ogham view here. Now this stave is, I've said on a number of occasions, it is my least favourite stave, and I have never ever had it come up that I can recall in this position, which is to theme your whole reading. This is about emptiness. In its worst possible position, it's about depression, it's about loneliness, it's about big black hole of life, it's about tears, frustration, sadness, you know, in the absolute maximum. However, for you, what I keep seeing that comes through in this is that at the moment the whole of your life is themed by the word empty comes to mind, and that's not about your relationship, because you talked about how your relationship had at the moment is beautifully strong, and I can see that here, but the rest of your life, there's a hole in terms of what you feel your contribution to the community is, to society. You know, what will be your legacy? What is the purpose of your life? You know, that seems to be a bit of a hole for you at the moment in terms of, you know, why am I here? You know, that kind of bigger question. These three over here, these three staves here are about the past, 12 months in particular. Elder or Fien that sits up here is about, I guess, seeking advice. It's about giving advice and seeking advice. These two here, this is gorse or on, while this is willow or sail. Now, gorse is very much about, on some occasions it's about sexuality, but for you it's about, the last year or so has been one of those years where you've just lived day to day. You have had in the past these beautiful big dreams and ideas and goals and targets, but in the last year or so the picture of that, if I can use that analogy, the picture of that you might have on your wall with these targets and stuff, it's like acid has just eaten through holes of it, so that instead of this beautiful jigsaw picture, finished jigsaw picture with you know, the dream life on it, there's parts of the jigsaw puzzle which are missing, and so for the last year it's just been a case of working day to day because you can't see the bigger picture anymore. And we're going to talk about that when we get to this one down here as well. Will or sail underneath is about your intuition, your innate wisdom, if you like, and it's underneath gorse here, and so what we have here is for the last year that the picture of that goal that you had that was originally so clear and that fed your very soul, and that fed into your heart's desire and what you felt was your life purpose, you know, just not there at the moment. And this one that's sitting in the middle here is Aspen, and this is in the position that talks about right now. And Aspen or Edia is about, it's a bit about fear actually. It's about concern and worry. And for you, you know, there's a double concern, there's a double worry there, because on the surface there would be no reason to worry. Anybody would look at your relationship, your family, your life and all that kind of stuff, and they would say, Seriously, CP, what are you worrying about? You know, you've got nothing to worry about. And sometimes you look at your life and the bigger picture of your life and think, well, seriously, what am I so upset about? But it's not about tangible stuff. It's not about the house, for instance. It's not about flashy cars and beautiful furniture and big holidays. And it's not about stuff. The hole that's missing for you at the moment is about how you feel that you need to contribute to the community, and what is your purpose in life. That's where that concern is. So let's look at these ones here, and I'm going to go through each of these one at a time, and then we'll kind of pin it all together. Newen or ash, is about. So I can't remember if I said this is the next 12 months or so ahead, sorry. Newen or ash themes that next 12 months, and this is about lots of changes, but this is about changes that are imposed on you by other people. So they're changes that come to you from without, from circumstances, from other people, and they're imposed upon you. You have to make changes as a result of the decisions that other people have made, and I'll pick up on that again in a minute. You or Iho is also about change. So you can see massive changes coming up for you in the coming 12 months. But this time it's about changes that you make yourself. It's about decisions that you put into place. It's about changes in behaviour, changes in thought patterns that you create. And interestingly, it's sitting over the top of this one here, which is Lewis or Rowan. And Rowan is about self-protection. So it's for you, that next 12 months is about recognizing the reality of what your heart and your soul needs to do, and impacting and acting on that. And then sitting underneath this is pine, and this is very much about creating the bigger picture of life again. So it's about looking at that jigsaw puzzle picture that we talked about over here, and it's about recreating that again. So it's about finding the missing pieces, and what you'll actually find is that you don't find old missing pieces to put into that bigger jigsaw picture puzzle that you have. You find new pieces and you change the end product picture just a little bit more. So what do we have here? The next 12 months for you, underpinning everything, is really important that you revisit the important things to you. And what I can see here is that you've been holding on to old dreams, so i.e. the home that you always wanted, which was in bushland or which was in mountain and area. It was a country home in effect. You know, it was all about that self-sufficiency and growing my own veggies and you know, maybe having a goat running around, you know, all of that kind of stuff. That's been a long held dream for you. But the reality of life is such that it hasn't come to pass. So what you need to do is redraw the picture, and you might actually find that it's slightly different. The same with your career. You mentioned, I think I'll read it, your professional future is cloudy. I'd like to use my skills and knowledge to the best effect for myself and others, but confidence and again finances come into play. You say you're content, but you're not happy or excited about your current work and essentially do it to pay the bills. So again, what I was saying is that you know, you're going through the motions of life, which we can see here, but you're not feeding your soul, because that bigger picture, that target that you had, has got the big holes in it. So what I want you to do is get a piece of paper, and I want you to spend the next 3-4 weeks or so, and I want you to write down again, what really do you want? What really do you want now? Not really what did you want 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 6 months ago. What really do you want now? And I think you'll find when you look at that, the Oghams are saying here, is that things have shifted, but you're still trying to hold on to an old picture of goals that actually doesn't serve your current purpose anymore. So if you can get a piece of paper and a pen and just spend the next 3 or 4 weeks, or certainly the next 3 or 4 days, and just write down what it is that you think you'd like in the future. And I think that you'll be quite surprised that it's slightly different than what you think it is or what it has been. Once you've got that, then you're in a much better position to know, well, what is it that actually fuels and feeds my life's purpose? And once you know that, then you're in a better position to feel motivated and then excited, and then off you go. And then once you've done that, you start making changes, and then life around you changes. Okay, so it's all about redefining your goals, which is what Pine is all about. And it's about letting go of old goals because they're not servicing you anymore, and creating new goals instead, so that you can pick up and be really motivated and run with those. So that's really key for you. So I guess specifically in answer to your question, the first one, which was about, for many years you'd had that real desire, that real need to own your own home, and you thought that was out in the country. I want you to revisit that. Is it about owning your own home, or is it about living in the country? Because there's two separate things there. They don't necessarily have to be you owning your own home, which is in the country. You could actually be owning an investment property in the city that you rent out, whilst you actually live in a rented property out in the country. Okay, so you talked about in your email about your desperate need to own your own home in the country, and that finances had held you back. It may actually be that that's not what you need to do, but that perhaps you go and own a piece of real estate or a piece of land somewhere, so that you meet that need of yours for safety and security in terms of, financial assets, but that you can actually go and live in the country in a rented property, a little mini farm or whatever it may be, whilst you continue to pay off that piece of land or that little flat in the city somewhere that you rent out. I can see quite clearly here, not inside the next 12 months, but certainly within the next few years, that you do own a property, but it is not what you think you want to own now. So think about what I've just talked about, and think about things outside the square in terms of owning a piece of property. The piece of property you own may not be the home that you live in. Okay, so I just leave you with that as an option and a thought about that. In terms of you being a frustrated writer, very clearly the Oghams are saying here you have a massive capacity, a brilliant capacity to write, but you've not found the still not yet found the subject matter that feeds your soul and fuels your soul. So once you've found that, then you're motivated to write, and off you go. Okay, so that's about, again, it's about going back to that goals list that we talked about. What are the things that on that goals list, what are the things that you want? You might write down things about, where do you want to live? What sort of job do you actually want to have? What's your goals for your finances? How much money is in the bank, or what assets do you own? What's your education level? And what is your career, I guess, as well, because two different things there as well. What's your social life about? What's your relationship about? What's your mothering skills like? So lots of different goals down there. And I think as you start writing that, you'll begin to see the different aspects of yourself that can help to motivate a subject matter that you are in a better position to write about. Okay, and again, the Oghams are clearly telling me that what you think you want to write is actually not what you will begin to write. So it's really important that you start writing, but that you start writing about things that are important to you now, and allow the journey of writing to modify itself as your subject matter slowly comes to mind. And I think you'll be quite surprised by what that is, because within 12 months you're going to be writing lots and lots and lots and lots, and it's not about the subject matter that you think you'll be writing about now. And it has to do with families and parenting, mothering, and all of that kind of stuff. You talked about your professional life, and that right now you're just kind of working to pay the bills, and we can see that here. That's been happening. It's a process. You're going through a process because that's the expectation, and there are there are expectations upon you to, you know, pay the rent and, you know, fill the cupboards with food and, you know, pay the car payment and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, you're going through the motions. Again, it's related to that list of what your goals are. Once you are in a better position to clearly understand what your goals are, and I know you talked about studying social science and naturopathy, it's not quite, you haven't pinned down yet what it is that your heart's desire and your soul really needs to be doing. Okay? Once you've got that pinned down with that goal list that we talked about, then you're in a better position to be motivated. You will be changing your job within the next 12 months. Clearly, absolutely clearly, that's sticking out like a mile, you know, a huge big signpost. Changing jobs in the next 12 months. And the job that you change into is not necessarily the job that you want to have long term, but it does serve a function as being a stepping stone to the career that you want, because you're going to change careers quite dramatically over the next 5 years, and again there's going to be a lot of fluidity. Go with it, CP, go with it. It's all about life's journey. Now I wanted to talk to you about salmon, which was your Celtic birth, your Druidic Animal Oracle card that came up. Fantastic! I love this card. It's a beautiful, beautiful card, and it's a very old, one of the wisest of the Druidic creatures, and he's about sharing wisdom. Now, if you think about the salmon, you know, he spends his life out in the sea, and then when he's ready to reproduce, he comes swimming up the stream, and he actually sacrifices his life in order to create his future. Doesn't mean to say that you are going to sacrifice everything you want in order to create the future that you want, but he does teach us that when you want something, when you face a challenge, you have to know what that challenge is in order to know how to cope with it. So again, it's about going to that goal list, and it's about saying, well, actually, what is it that I want, so that I'm then in a better position to face the challenges as I meet them. And those challenges might be, you know, going to work every day just to pay the bills, or feeling, I guess, a little bit empty because I'm not feeling as fulfilled as I might otherwise do. Salmon very clearly says to us, it's about being open and honest with yourself and saying, okay, well, actually, what is it that I want to achieve? And then having the courage to go forth and do that, and to recognise that self-esteem and self-confidence is linked to that, and that sometimes we don't have as much self-confidence as we would like, but it's about taking small steps towards it and being very, very clear about what your goal is. Lastly, I wanted to talk to you about your Celtic birth tree, which is Ruas or elder. Now, this is quite lovely. The elder tree is the home of the fairies. It's where the fairies live. It's where magic lives. And so branches and twigs of this were often put across the doorways of houses, you know, hung outside the doorway of a house, and also over stables as well. And they were put there to protect the people inside the building, and protect the horses in the stable as well, because, you know, horses were incredibly expensive and were a massive asset for people. So and the fairies in those branches and twigs protected everyone from the inside. So elder people are really lively, they're really friendly, they are very intuitive, and we can see that because you've got Sail or Willow here. You have massive intuitive skills and you're not using them yet, CP. I encourage you to foster them a lot more. You have massive intuitive ability, and over the next 5 years you're going to develop that and grow that, and there will be an awful lot of writing around that as well. I hasten to add, particularly in terms of its relationship to your mothering skills and about families and what it's like to be in a magical family. I don't want to give too much away because you have to explore and discover all of this for yourself. but it's part of that birth tree for you about being very magical. Elder people love spontaneity and surprises and change, but you also really like stability and a strong foundation so that you can feel safe, I guess, as well. Your Druid birth deity is Cailleach, a Welsh goddess, so I really encourage you to go and Google Cailleach. That's Cailleach. Love that goddess. Love that whole clan, actually. She's a really powerful goddess. And your Druid birth totem animal, I guess, for the want of a better phrase, is the raven. Interestingly, and the raven is, a lot of people think the raven is about death. He's not about death at all. He's actually about facing your fear and giving things a go, and he's about life and spontaneity and laughter and joy. So I really encourage you to go and find out as much as you can about raven as well. So I hope that has been of some help for you, CP, in making decisions, and I really encourage you to think strongly and pick up your pen and paper and start writing those goals out, because it's those goals that are going to be absolutely key for you in reigniting your motivation and your passion to step forward into some really fantastic challenges in the next year ahead.